Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to create a navigable menu using PowerPoint. So most of the time in PowerPoint, we go into a presentation and we have something that's linear. And that means it starts with the title slide, we move to the agenda, and then we go through our topics one by one. First the background, then the findings, then possibly conclusions. And what happens is that we usually run out of time because somewhere in the detailed findings, we get caught up in answering questions, we kind of segue into a different topic, and we never make it to our final ending of the presentation. And sometimes you can manage that with, just presentation kind of crowd control, but wouldn't it be great if we could be more flexible in our presentations and allow the conversation to dictate where we go? And that's where an interactive menu or a navigable menu can help in our presentations. And so what do I mean by that? This is something that I learned from the Presentation Summit this year. The Presentation Summit is something put on by Better Presenting. You can check them out at betterpresenting.com. And they have a man who presented there named Mike Parkinson's, and he showed me this trick. I've seen it before from a couple different places, but he was the one who really broke down how to create it. So again, I highly recommend the Presentation Summit, and also look up Mike Parkinson's. He's a Microsoft MVP, so he really knows what he's doing. So back to the menu. What do I mean by a navigable menu? You can see up here I have a hamburger bar. And when I click it, my menu comes in. I can either remove my menu, go back, or I can navigate to a different page. Let's say I want to go to the background page. And then, wow, here it is again. And it sneaks back on. I can go back to the home page, get rid of that. So how do we create that? Let's do it together. All right, so this is the menu bar that I just had set up. So I'm going to copy and paste all these elements, and let's see, I'm going to duplicate my slide. Let's duplicate this slide because it does not have any of the features I want. All right, so I have all my elements. I'm going to paste them, and I'm going to remove all of the animations that I had previously set up so that you can watch how I make this happen. All right, so all you have here is a rectangle colored box that is the size that you want for the menu. If you want it to be half the page, that's great. A third. I actually set mine up to be a quarter of the page. You can see that right here. There's my grid lines that I have set up previously. So we're going to need a menu bar or a hamburger bar, which is really just 3 lines. So I can go into my shape format. This is just 3 lines. I set them to 5 point, gave them rounded edges, and grouped them. And then an X. And for an X, I just did insert shape, and an X is actually one of the options you can choose right here. And then you can make it thinner, you can change the color, the size, etc. So that's what you need. You need a hamburger bar, a closing X, and then a menu with each of your sections as a different item. But again, you can group this whole thing in that box. All right, so how do we get the menu to slide in? We are going to use the animation pane and do a path animation. You cannot do a fly in and fly out. I know that would be so ideal. However, what will happen is when you click it to fly out again, it will kind of become inactive. So before you saw me clicking it to come in, fly out, come in, fly out. And if you use fly in, fly out, then it will become inactive. And once it flies out, it won't know to come back in again. So that's why we use the path animation. So I'm going to put a line here. And it defaults to the bottom, but if you click on this red circle here, you will get a little preview, and this is where it's going to end up. So I had already had my grid set up. I want it to end right there on that 3/4 mark. Perfect. And when I go into my animation pane, this is just going to happen on click. So for the title slide, that's fine. I'm really only going to have a hamburger menu as an option. But what happens in my later slides when I have other options? I need to set the hamburger as the trigger. So only the hamburger will activate this menu to slide on. And that is actually set in the animation panel. So click the menu panel slide. That's what I want to be activated. I want it to go pretty quickly, only 1 second. I want it to be a smooth end. And if down here in the triggers, on click of hamburger. I have already named these items in my selection pane. You can see I've got my menu panel, my hamburger, my closing X, etc. So again, animation pane, trigger on the click of hamburger. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, my hamburger is active. I see my little clicker hand there, and voila, there it is. That's exactly what I want it to do. All right, so the next thing we need to do is make sure that when we're done with the menu, it slides away from the page, and that's where this little closing X comes in. So I don't want the X to be there the whole time because I obviously only want it to happen, when my menu comes in. So what happens here is I need the X to appear. I'm gonna have it zoom in after the menu comes in. So this is gonna be on my timing. I'm gonna do after previous. That's gonna happen there, and I want that to happen, yes, half a second, very fast. So basically that means that the X, even though you see it here in editing, you're not gonna see it in presentation mode until after this menu pops in. And then the menu is going to slide out. And again, this is another path animation. So it's actually gonna start where the previous one ended, right on that line, and then it's gonna end in the starting position. So again, this is just a reverse of that slide in. We're gonna slide it out. And this is the exit. I want that to be triggered on the click of the close X. Perfect. And then also, once the menu panel is gone, I also want the X to fade away. So again, the menu coming in created the X to appear, and then the menu going out causes it to disappear. So I'm going to have it zoom out. That's the reverse of how it came in. And that is going to happen with the menu panel exiting. So let's see how that worked. We've got our hamburger menu. There it is. Oh, my closing X appeared. And now I am going to remove it. Perfect. And it goes back and forth. Again, that's because I used the path animation and not the fly in, fly out. All right, so how do I get to my other pages? This is super simple. You just select the item, not the text, but the box, item box, object box. Go to action settings, not hyperlink. You can probably use hyperlink, but I prefer action settings. Hyperlink, and I want it to go to slide 6, the background. And again, this is the titles of these slides are taken from what you put in the title box, from the template title box. So perfect. Here we go again, detailed findings, select the object box, action settings, and I want it to go to slide, detailed findings, perfect. As you can see, I had already assigned a few of these. All right, so now let's try it again. Menu slides in, hover over, background, perfect. Menu slides in, great. So I had already set this up, but it is as easy as copy and pasting the completed menu here. So our detailed findings does not have the menu yet. I just paste it. I want this hamburger bar to appear on the white background. So I'm just gonna change it to be blue. And bada bing, bada boom, it retains all of the functionality. I can go back and forth. I can go back home. Perfect. Okay, so one other thing that I had done was create this kind of fading background, and that was also very easy to do. So what I want to do is duplicate, here's my new experimental slide. I'm going to copy and paste, so that's Command C, Command V, or again, you can use your right click, copy and paste. Copy and paste, and I'm going to create a version of this same background photo that's desaturated. So under the format panel, again, you can click picture format, format pane. I'm going to go to picture color. I'm going to totally desaturate this photo, and I'm actually going to recolor it to be a little bit darker. I want it to really fade to the background. Okay, then I'm going to send this all the way to the back so it really can't be seen. After that, when the menu panel comes in, I want to see that darker photo in the background. And so basically all I'm going to do is make this colorful picture disappear and reappear with the menu sliding in and out. So again, I'm just going to assign that in the animation pane to be the trigger. So I want this to fade out when the menu panel comes in. Again, that's when we click the hamburger. That's going to happen with the menu fading in. And then I want it to reappear. So that is a fade in when the menu panel exits. So again, we're going to do that with the previous. Let's make it, yeah, let's just have it be the same. All right, so let's see how this works. So when I click this hamburger, the menu should slide in. This colorful picture should disappear, revealing the desaturated picture in the back. And I should also be able to either exit the menu or go to a different page. Let's give it a shot. Perfect. All right, so I want to adjust my timing a little bit, but that's exactly what I wanted to happen. And then it should reappear as the colorful picture when I select my X and the menu slides out. Perfect, that's exactly what I wanted to do. All right, so I've given you all the tools that you need. And just imagine that while you're in conversation, we can go to the background. If we are an executive presentation, we're talking to people who just want to get to the end picture, we can jump straight to the recommendations. If they question something there, we can jump back in and show them the detailed findings that justify our recommendation, etc. So using this tool, you can really have more flexible conversations, and it'll really impress your audience and make it seem like you have a much more interactive and, I'm going to say, techy presentation, and it was all created in PowerPoint.